Good evening. The Who's today in Sydney was an ATC meeting, transferred to Kembla Grange. Now the track was dead. Could have been slow in just a couple of patches. The rail was in a normal position. There was a northeasterly or an easterly blowing, which didn't have any effect on any of the races. But the inside of the track, close up to the rails, on the rail, that wasn't the place to be. Although there was one race here, it was the fifth race, left everybody on the track scratching their head. Alistine I'm talking about. There was a great result for the captains. Race one, well, this was the worst race all day, figures-wise, for the captains, and we were so lucky to escape. On the screen it said 100.6. In the marketplace we got to about 95. The first started from the Waller camp, Casual Choice, ridden by Catwalk Corey. Casual Choice. It sat outside the leader Weepoo, and Weepoo stayed close up against the fence. It ran third last. It was only a field of 6. It got beat 3 odd lengths and stayed close to the fence, which turned out wasn't the place to be. The winner sat outside, the leader, a little bit off the fence, was enough to get it home. Coming from last on the fence, being held up, trying to get off the around heels after straightening, was Kyoto, the bottom one. Now this was sensationally backed. It would have been an absolute strip out for the captains. It was $13. I actually gave $14 into $5.50, and it should have got the cash. It only had to get a run turning for home, and it would have finished up getting beat 0.8 of a length, 3/4 of a length, and it would have if it doesn't get held up, it wins for sure. It would have been a terrible result for the captains, but as it turned out, it was a great result for the captains because we put it up 2-1 favourite, the winner, Casual Choice, and it got to $5.50 begging at the finish. It didn't have a price. It was 2-1 to 9-2. Weepoo was, this is how we got the 94, was $3.50 out to $4.20. As I said, 2 to 5, 9 to $2, $3 out to $5.50 Casual Choice. Ivanhoe, $5.50 to $6.50 back into 5. Totally Devoted, $5.50 out to $7.50 back into $6. And Cordelia, a stablemate to Ivanhoe, $5.50 into about $4.80, 60. And the bottom, the unlucky Kyoto, $14, as I say, into $5.50. Second horse, sort of got the cash. Race 2, this was all right, this was all right because the winner, Phantom Willie, was another very good result for the captains. It didn't have a price either, the same as the first. Another one from the Waller camp. He did the bookies a turn in the first 2 races, Chris Waller. They said there was 107.6 on the screen, only a little bit less, about 105 in the marketplace, and every runner liable. We got Fob Dubai from 7 to 2, $4.60 out to $7 back into 6. Glowboy from 12 out to 19 back into 17. Sea Warrior from $3 into $2.60, led on the fence. Stayed close to the fence, ran third, beaten 1.4, not the place to be. Excuse me. Sensing, $7 out to 10. Cochin was $13 out to 17, back into about $13 or $12. Phantom Willie, as I said, $3 out to $4.60, unlayable. Left it, they said, the grumble and grunters, they said, no, Phantom Willie's all yours, Captain. The captains, you can have it. We kept it. Hard Marker, $7 out to 10. Deter, well backed at one stage, $30 into 21, but back to 31. And By Chance, 100 out to 301, back into $151. Phantom Willie sat in 5th position off the fence and was able to get to the outside, not real wide, but maybe 5 off the fence or 4 off the fence, and was able to get past the favourite at about the furlong pole, Sea Warrior, who finished up running third. And coming down the outside from last, the place to be was Deter, and it was beaten 0.4 of a length and 1.4 to Sensing. Other runners, you'll see, you can see the other runners that were on the fence when you do the form. Race 3, they said there was 111.3 on the screen, and there were about 102 in the marketplace. The winner was extremely well backed, Art Thou Ready. We put it up $4, got out to $5.50, into about $4.60 or to $4.40. Might have even been, I think it might have even had $5 on the board when they jumped, I forget. Shanghai Bound, it was hard to lay. I had to get it to $9 before I could lay it. It went from $4 to $9, back into $8. Via Facile, it was layable one stage, the favourite. It went terrible. It pulled very hard on Patrick Murphy the entire journey. At one stage, they took $3.30. It was $3 out to $3.30, back into $3.10, but it started $3.50. Flight to Pegasus, they took $5.50 at one stage after opening at $4, back into $4.80, but started $5.50. Art Thou Ready, as I've told you, the flux $4 to $5.50, back into $4.60. Might have been a bit longer when they jumped. Eye of the Needle was labelled at $41. Sandrio, a little bit unlucky, Sandrio. It sat third on the fence inside Via Facile. I don't think he could have got around his heels turning for home. If he would have been able to ease off the heels and get to the outside, Sandrio might have got the cash, but he tried to get out of a pocket and was held up, and he had to go back inside the leader, which was the Conqueror, and that wasn't the place to be. It finished up running third, beaten 1.5 lengths, whereas the winner sat midfield and got to the outside. Then Sandrio was $7 out to $10. The Conqueror well back 15 out to 17, back into 13, and Zeus was hard to lay. Zeus got something out of it, $8 out to about 11 or 12, yeah, $12 Zeus. Only about 102, but it wasn't as hopeless as it looked. But the winner was extremely well backed. At one stage, I think I laid 4,000 to 1,000 about the winner. Race 4, there was 112.1 on the screen and about 180 in the marketplace. And again, it wasn't hopeless. The winner, Impeachable, lost $4 when they jumped. I think the return is only about $3.30. It was a good run and a good win. Came from well back after copying a couple of Pratts. There were a couple of runners in this race that copped a bit of interference. Besides the winner, mainly Bronte Express, but also there were quite a few other runners in the race that, not severely, but enough to, I suppose, stop them from finishing a bit closer. But it was hard to take it away from the winner. It came from third last or fourth last, same thing, Impeachable, easing off heels halfway up the straight when the race looked all over, with Perfect Tempo having its first start, drawn out very wide, went back to last at one stage, but got out into clear running after copping a bit of a Pratt, turning for home, which was the place to be, and it raced up to Champagne Lifestyle, who also drew wide and came also from well back, and it copped a bit of a check in the run as well. It went from $7 out to $9, but only started 6, and those two looked like they were going to fight it out. But just in the last 3 hops, after getting around their heels, was Impeachable the favourite to grab the other pair on the line. 0.1 by 0.3 of a length were the margins, with Bronte Express coming from well back in the field after being eased at the start, running into 4th hole. The winner wasn't a bad win, and it will most probably get further than the 1,400 metres. Race 5, well, this was all right. 117.8 on the screen, and I couldn't get any less than 113 in the marketplace, and this was a sensational result, I must admit, for the captains. This was the punters didn't know this was in the race, and I must admit, I reached for it all the way, but reach for it. You could reach as much as you wanted, and you couldn't find a customer for it, for the simple reason I'm talking about the winner, Alistine. It was always going to be the leader, and not only I think the general opinion was that it was most probably a distanced out. It was going to be on the fence leading, which wasn't the place to be. Ridden by El Grace, he did lead, and behind him on the fence and finish up running third was Bonzarina, and it would have been equally a good result, because the flux of the both of them, the winner Alistine went from $8 to $21, and Bonzarina, number 6, it went from about a $7 or $8 chance also out to $21. They ran first, and third, coming from about third or fourth last position, was Moss Money, who was well backed at one stage at $9, into second hole, but beaten 2 lengths. And as I say, Alistine went straight to the lead, stayed tight against the fence, and I suppose with the easy lead that it had, and a lot of the other runners not with a good turn of foot and not much pace in the race, it was enough for Alistine to keep on going, tight up against the fence and the worst going. And as I say, it beat Moss Money by 2 lengths. A great result for the captains. La Comedienne was backed at $13 into 11. Plastic Fantastic was $6.50 out to so $6.50 into $5.50, back out to $6, back into $5, but back to $6, always well back. Bolsar, he laid 3,101 stage plus other bets. Bonzarina didn't have a price, neither did our girl Charlize. Darcy Drama, well back Darcy Drama. You could lay it at $3.20 and also at $4 towards the finish. Moss Money, they took $9, started 8. Trick Shot was $18 into 17. The next runner was extremely well backed, Great Dancer. It sat outside the leader. It was one of 2 3-year-olds in the race, it and Judea, the 2 3-year-olds. It opened up $7, got out to $7.50, but only started $4.60. Laid some good bets against it. Judea I think I laid 7,500 about Judea. At one stage, it was $13 out to $15, back into about 12. And even the bottom one, Mighty Madeline, it was $26 into 17 one stage, or 16, back out to 21. Quite a few runners backed in the race, but the winner didn't have a price and was in the worst going. Race 6, 107.2 on the screen and less in the marketplace, only 101. And the winner, excuse me, one of the pros found this for a good bit of section, Power Broker. Excuse me, went up $6.50 and got out to $8.50 at one stage, back into about $7.50. These were the flux. Asian Bauer went from $5 out to $7, back into $6.50. Tunes, $3 out to $4.20 into $3.80 or $3.70, but back to $4. Power Broker, $6.50 out to $8.50, back into $8, hard to get, $7.50. Platinum Jack, $4.60 out to $6, believe it or not, but back into, or one stage was $6, back into about $4.60, but started $5.50. The next runner, Continental Flyer, was well back from $13 into about 10. Del Rommel was hard to lay, $10 to 15. J-Poid Princess, $8 out to about $9. Regalic, laid at 21, started about $17. Monsieur Marceau, the bet $31 after opening at 20, started 21. It was well backed as well. But the winner, Power Broker, as I said, one of the pros found it for a good bit of section. It sat in 4th position, 1 out, 1 back, and was a little bit too strong for Del Rommel, who sat behind the leader on the fence. Leading on the fence was Regalic, and so Dalrymmel's run wasn't bad because it wasn't the worst section of the ground. Sitting out on the outside of the leader was Agent Bauer, who dropped off, finished up running third last. And who else was on the inside? Well, Tunes, of course, it drew barrier 1 and it was always on the inside. So I suppose you might be able to forgive it. You could allow something for where it finished because it was in the worst section of the ground. The winner was a fairly strong win. Then we got to the last, and there was 113.1 on the screen at best luck, but only 101 in the marketplace. Now I'll go through quickly. There are good fluctuations here. Free to wear went from $11 to 17. Later for about 3,000 or 4,000 that price at one stage, but started 18 on my board. Now the next one I didn't have a price, Centre de Moor. It was eased from the extreme outside alley barrier, whatever it was. There were 14 runners, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14 runners from barrier 14 to be last on the fence, and it never left the fence, so it was in the worst section of the ground all the way. It went from $6 to $16, didn't have a price. Set to go, $6 into out to $6.50, back into $4.60, back to $6.50 on my board, and they jumped. Ralston didn't have a price, 13 to 26. Now Braggett opened up $4 favourite. I got it to $6.50 at one stage, only started $5. Dial of Mood was 20 out to 61 into 41. Falvesa 21 into 17, back out to 21. 10 to 0, $7 to $9, taken back into 8. School of Turin, bit hard to lay, but always firm in the market. You could lay it. $6 out to $8. Hot Millie, hard to lay, 15 out to 21. Manganine, 51 out to 101, back into 71. Now the next runner, Bardia, it was 41 into 17 or $16, extremely well backed. Halo's Image, very well backed. $6 out to 7, back into 6. I think I laid 5,500 or 1,000 at one stage, plus other bets. And the bottom one, Raring to Win, well, it went from 30 out to 40, and it only started $15. Extremely well backed. It took out plenty of section with me. And look, I haven't dissected. I only watched this race a couple. I had to get out of the joint fairly quickly. I only watched the replay once, and it was only a cursory look. The winner, I'm sure, came from about third last position, and after missing the kick slightly, well, it was eased at the start, set a go, and it copped a bit of a pratt going down the side. But when this young girl, Rachel Murray, eased around heels halfway up the straight, it sprouted wings. It looked as if the top weight, Free to Wear, who had sat in about 4th or 5th position and had got past the leaders, it looked like the likely winner with about 80 to go, but it came very quickly, set to go, as it always does, and it was able to grab Free to Wear near the line and win by 0.2 of a length. It was most probably the best run, but by the same token, it did come down in the best section of the track, whereas there were a few runners in the market that were, I think, especially Centre de Moor, even though it drew the outside, it was on the fence all the way. That was about the meeting. As I say, it was a Randwick meeting transferred to Kembla. We have the tennis on at the moment, and I think a few of our pros, or two of our main pros, are playing the tennis. Good luck to them, whatever they do. So when it's all over, I suppose they'll be back in action. And the next meeting is somewhere tomorrow. But then we've got Canterbury on Friday night, where I most probably won't do a review. I might say something after the Who's at Warwick Farm on Saturday. That was about it. Good evening.